Hi, it's Kathleen from Bailey Academy, mom of five, homeschooling three of them, ages 9, almost 10, 12, and 16. Today I want to talk about homeschooling with chronic illness. I have lots of chronic illnesses, and they can cause havoc on me and my body and what I'm able to do, but also they mean lots of doctor's appointments, as well as I have a child with chronic illness, and she has lots of doctor's appointments too. And our family, just in general, there's lots of doctor's appointments. So both the time away from school for those, which was part of our decision for homeschooling, and just how I feel from day to day and how well I can teach, can cause problems. So I wanted to discuss things that I've been using to help with that. And keep in mind that my kids are all 9 and older, and so you may have to do things differently if you have babies and toddlers around. I can give ideas for what I think might work, but I've never had chronic illness and homeschooled young children, so I can't speak from experience for there. So, what do I do? First of all, with regards to planning, and just in case I'm unable to do what what I was supposed to do, what I planned to do. I mentioned this in a previous video, but I made a Mom's Day Off homeschool list. And so each of my children has one, and so if I am unable to do what was planned, and it's not something they can do on their own, then it's just easier for me to say, oh, it's a Mom's Day Off. And obviously that doesn't happen very often. I think I've only done it twice so far, but if I just really can't do any of it, and it's, especially if it's more than one day in a row, the idea is, or say I was in the hospital, or say I was just really unwell for a while, they could do this for a couple days. So this one, the page I showed you is my youngest, so she reads any book for 20 minutes, writes a paragraph about what she read, uses a French games website for 20 minutes, plays math games at a website for 20 minutes, and goes outside for 30 minutes to be active and have fun. It may not be a full school day's worth of work, but it's enough to keep doing something that, towards learning. And so the older kids have slightly more work. The other thing I do is, especially for my high schooler, and it'll be probably the same for my rising grade 8 for next year, because he's going to do more like a high school type schedule, not necessarily high school classes we haven't decided yet, but at least work on his own like a high schooler. That's his choice, what he wants to do. So anyways, next year for him too, what I do is on Sunday, I go over what the work is for the weekend. My high schooler writes it in her agenda, and therefore her planner, and therefore she has everything, and I just give her any worksheets or anything that she might need that goes with it. Or websites, I send her websites that she needs to go to, things like YouTube videos she's supposed to watch, things like that. And that way, if I'm not feeling well during the week, she knows what she's supposed to do, and other than bringing me questions, she can work on her own. So for the most part, she doesn't need the Mom's Day Off school list. But say I was sick Sunday to Monday and I didn't get a chance to finish planning or something like that, then she has that in place. So that's that. Also, if I'm just having a rough part of the day, then sometimes we'll just cut out the things that I find less important. We'll make sure we do math literacy, but it again depends on which kid it is. One kid I'm more worried about them doing math, and the other kid I'm more worried about them doing literacy. So sometimes we'll do, I just French gets skipped a lot because, I'm not saying the second language is not important. It absolutely is. But, a couple days here or there of not learning French is not going to overall, oh no, now they're not at the same level they would have been. And, we can, one time we weren't feeling well to do the French lesson I had planned. So what we did was we just went over what we had learned the previous week, and I was like, okay, so let's pop quiz. Let's see who remembers what we learned last week. And that worked out well, as I could do that from sitting position. Another thing that I do often is we'll adjust things. So really just make adjustments, just be flexible. So maybe you do math in the afternoons, maybe you're feeling better in the mornings, maybe you should switch it so that math is in the mornings. If math is what's more important to you, get those done in the mornings. I'm better off in the mornings, but we would tend to do the stuff that group work in the mornings, so that the stuff that they do more or less on their own, I'm still helping them, is done in the afternoon. So when I feel worse, they can do more of it on their own, and it's easier. That's what works for me. But if you have better afternoons, or you have rough mornings, then you might want to do it differently. What else? Chairs. So when you homeschool, everybody has a different setup. Some people have classrooms. Some people not classrooms, but homeschool rooms. Some people just do it their living room or the living room table. What's a living room table? Dining room table or living room couch, however you want to do it, it doesn't matter. But try to make sure you have, if you have chronic pain issues, that you have a comfortable chair. So I use my computer chair, which is more comfy, and I wheel it over to the table, and I use that instead of sitting on a harder chair like I am right now, which is harder on my back and my hips and stuff like that. So, and if, depending on what your issues are, if you need to homeschool from the couch, make it work. Make a table near your couch or wherever your kids can sit, or give them clipboards on the couch. And, you know, this would especially be better if you had younger children. If you're reading a picture book, nobody says you have to sit at a table with your 5-year-olds to read a picture book. Sit on the couch, come, snuggle together. That's, I would recommend that normally anyway, but especially if you're having chronic pain issues. I didn't really make a list before I started, so I'm just trying to think of what I wanted to say. Be flexible. Like, that's what I've said already, but that's definitely so important. Not just about your plans, like maybe your plans fell through and you were supposed to do a science experiment and you're not filling up to it, or you were going to run out to the park and you can't make it that day. Switch it with a different day. Like, don't be strict on exactly what you're trying to do. I'm sure teachers have to adjust things sometimes too, and when you're homeschooling, even more so, and it works out well. It just, especially if your kids are younger and don't know necessarily what's being planned, then you can just adjust it and nobody will even know. But even if they are older and they know what they're supposed to do, they'll eventually get used to the idea that, homeschooling means flexibility and you can do things however you want, however works for you. What I was just saying about the appointments. We have appointments all the time. So what we do is, when first thing in the morning, when our school starts, we have announcements. I have a YouTube short about announcements, which I will link below. And it explains why we do announcements, basically. But the typical reason, the main reason, is to talk about, whose chores are that day, but also what appointments we have that day. So it'll be like, oh, today I have an appointment at 9 a.m., so we're just going to do our announcements. You guys are going to go have some free time. I'll do my appointment. I'll come back, and then we'll finish. Or today's appointment is at 12, so we're going to have lunch a little later than normal because we tend to have our lunch earlier. And while you're at lunch, I'll go have my appointment. That sort of thing. So I kind of just lay out the day. Or even if it's like payday, we tend to do grocery shopping earlier in the day. So we'll do grocery shopping, we do any appointments we have to do, and then we do school after. Because you don't have to school from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. It doesn't take that long in homeschool, if you didn't realize that. But even if you, whatever your time is that you normally school, you don't have to. Maybe you school normally, like we tend to do 9 to 1 maybe at the most. It goes a little later, start again because of appointments, but around there, with breaks in between, of course. And it doesn't have to be like that. There are people who homeschool on weekends, people who homeschool in the evening, basically sometimes because of somebody's work schedule. There are families who both parents work. One works from home, and their kids do some homeschool on their own during the day, and then they do homeschool to work together after 3. Again, flexibility. Was there anything else I wanted to say? Again, if you have younger children, I would recommend, with the younger children, you don't have to do as much anyway. Like, there's recommendations online about, I think it's like 15 or so minutes or 20 minutes for younger kids. 15 minutes for younger kids and 20 to 30 minutes for older kids for each subject that you do, as a general rule. But obviously with younger kids, you don't have to do as many subjects either. So like, a lot of people who are doing kindergartners, it's like 20 minutes a day. That's it for homeschool. So do it what part of the day works for you. And, younger children, if you have toddlers and babies, babies you can homeschool with in arms too, but, older babies and toddlers, you want to give them attention first before you work with your older kids. I know that much was true because I did homeschool my oldest 2 when they were younger. It would take care of the baby and get her situated first, and then I was able to focus more on the slightly older one, because then they feel loved and attention, and they can oh, now I can go out play on my own because they feel secure. So I do recommend that. And just the last thing I think I want to say is, what's the word I want? No, that's not it. I always have trouble coming up with words. Brain fog. Where you forgive yourself. Oh no. I can't think of the word. Basically, don't give yourself a hard time about things that don't go the way that you want them to go. Your children will be fine. you're homeschooling, you're doing what you believe is best for the children, and so therefore everything will go fine. Take care of yourself. I should have mentioned that earlier. I'm going to add that on as a PS. Take care of yourself. If you are not taking care of yourself, or whoever the person is with chronic pain or chronic issues, health issues, then you're not going to be able to homeschool. So, don't put off, make sure you take any medication you're supposed to be on, do any exercise you're supposed to be doing, drink any water, get some good sleep, that sorts of things. I know they're all hard with chronic issues. Trust me, I know they're really hard. But do the best you can, because the more you take care of yourself, the better. If you need to skip school for a week and take a break, March break is early, then go ahead and do that, because you can work, for example, March break, you could work through March break if you took the break earlier. Or, you can adjust your schedule, look at different schedules that homeschoolers do. Maybe you don't want to do Monday through Friday, only take this, maybe you take breaks when the public schoolers do. Maybe that doesn't work for you. Maybe you want to do the 6 weeks on, 1 week off, or there's other versions of it that you can look into. But give yourself whatever the word is I can't think of. If you know what it is, put it in the comments. And be nice to yourself. You can do this. You can homeschool with chronic illness, whether it's you, your children, or husband, wife, or anything like that. You guys can make do with it. So good luck. All right, that's it for now.